We've been living in our new home back in the Salerno province for exactly 1 week. And I've got to be honest with you, the words from the late Steve Jobs keep ringing in my ears. Join the dots. This was a concept that he spoke about in a graduation speech that he gave at Stanford University, where he actually spoke about the fact that in life, when events, situations, things don't really work out the way that you had hoped, they often lead you somewhere better. And it's only a few years later when you look back that you can join the dots of those experiences and create the picture and realize that everything had to happen the way it did in order for you to be exactly where you are today. And I think this concept is something that I've referenced before in previous podcast episodes, and I think even on my YouTube channel. But it's something that really, really encapsulates what this move means to me, because we were sad to leave Palermo on one hand. When we moved there, I think my boyfriend and I really believed that it would be a place we would stay for many, many years. It's the place where my boyfriend's family are from and there are friends there. And, he grew up in that city. And so there was a lot there that meant it felt really good to go and live there and for him to return back to where he was born. However, the reality was something different, and it's not an easy city to live in. Take away the romance, take away the beautiful memories of childhood and whatever else you might choose to hang on to. It's not an easy city to survive in many different work professions and careers. And as much as I got lucky and I managed to find myself, ironically enough, my boyfriend didn't. And that was the reason why we came back to the Salerno province, because he himself realized that Palermo maybe is just the place to go back to for holidays and from time to time, but it's not the place to really build a sustainable career there and really find yourself. And it's so interesting because at that time when we decided to move back to the Salerno province, this was in December time, we started really thinking about it. I think we both felt like we had failed in some way. You know, it's not easy to move home. Let's be honest, it costs a lot of money and it takes up a lot of time and energy. And it's just the whole hassle of uprooting and moving. And I quite like permanence. I quite like to feel settled. And I'm not the person that every 2 years I can be moving around. It doesn't make me feel relaxed at all. And so when we moved from Palermo to Salerno, I really expected us not to have to move again for many, many years. And so I think we did battle with feelings of, well, where did we go wrong? Like we came back with this idea of building a life and it hasn't really worked out the way that we'd hoped. However, sitting here now in my new home, recording this episode and talking to you all today, I can honestly tell you it was probably one of the best things that could have happened to us. Because you see, Palermo is a beautiful city, and I have a lot to thank it for in terms of the experiences that I've had, the personal growth that I've undergone in just over 2.5 years living there. The opportunities it brought me with my writing as a permanent street art piece in the historical centre of Palermo and finding my work and really becoming more confident and established with my Ms. Brittany brand and concept. I found myself in Palermo. So, on the one hand, I'm really grateful for having had that experience. But on the other hand, I'm also really grateful because it has given me an even deeper sense of appreciation for life back here in the Salerno province. Because you see, when I first moved to Italy in 2018, I moved straight to Salerno and I stayed there for 4 years. And so I got used to and accustomed to the way of life here, the organization, the way things were done. And I didn't have anything to compare it with. But moving to Palermo gave me that comparison. And very quickly, I began to realize just how different life is in Palermo. For good or bad, it's very subjective. For me personally, I think there is a lot of beauty, but there is also a lot of heaviness that weighs down on that beauty. And sometimes it can be very, very difficult to focus on the beauty when you have all the other crap that's hiding behind it. And it's this. And I realize sitting here now just how much I appreciate life back here in Salerno province. Like we're recycling again. It's a lot cleaner and tidier. The mentality of the people here is different. I just feel so relaxed. And so I can actually say it's only been a week, but I'm looking back already and I'm joining those dots and I'm realizing that everything had to happen this way in order for us to move on to bigger and better things. And it's this, because I do believe in life that people are very scared of change. People are very scared of failure. People associate so many negative connotations to these things when actually there is so much opportunity in failure. If my boyfriend had found himself in Palermo and, really made a success of himself with his career, we probably would not be sitting here in the Salerno province again. But then on the one hand, I think I don't know how happy I really would have been to remain in Palermo City for a long term basis, because I was really starting to feel quite stressed and negative about the city towards the end. And so sitting here now, I'm like, yes, join the dots in life. Don't get caught up in the moment and in the disappointment and in the fact that things haven't necessarily gone the way that you'd planned. Look at the situation as something that is taking you onto something bigger, brighter, and better. Even if you cannot see it in the moment, I promise you in the future, you'll be able to do that. And I credit Palermo for teaching me so much. But boy, oh boy, am I glad to be back in the Salerno province with everything that those 2.5 years has taught me. And this is life, this is progression, this is growth. And it's one of the most beautiful things that you could experience. But it comes by taking a risk, taking a chance, and really viewing the opportunity in every situation. And most importantly of all, remembering to join those dots and realize that everything that has happened has led you to exactly where you're meant to be today. I will see you in the next episode.